coronavirus lesson number 3. The theme of this lesson is breath. Just simply breath. Now, early in the pandemic, when we start to realize what ultimately happens, a very simple slogan emerged: the mask or the ventilator, in terms of what happened to people's breathing. So I was motivated to reflect on this whole issue of breath, how it impacts us, and what the lesson we're getting. You know, I include music in everything that I do, and I think musically. But in terms of this lesson, I will not include the music. The first thing came to my mind was Breath by Pink Floyd, from that Dark Side of the Moon album. And you can go back and just take a listen to that and the influence and the inspiration. The next was from Sting, Police and Sting, Every Breath You Take. Then the final one was Never Breathe Again, Tragic, by Tony Braxton. Breath. Now, the mask is what is symbolic of what we are accustomed to, what we associate with the pandemic. The mask, something that filters the air that we breathe, something that filters the air, that the breath that comes out, that is exhaled, is shared with other people. Controlled breathing. We enter the world with our first breath, symbolic. The end of life, and he took his last breath. Again, breath to begin the life, and the end of breath to end life. What's the composition of air? By volume, dry air contains 78% nitrogen, 20.9% oxygen, a little argon, and some carbon dioxide, and a small amount of other gases. A composition. We call it air. But air also contains amount of water vapor. Average about 1% at sea level and 0.4% in the entire atmosphere. A little water vapor. On average, humans use and absorb around 4% of the oxygen that they take in from the air. So just understand what you're taking in. About 4% of the oxygen you take in is actually utilized. Your body cell uses the oxygen that you breathe to get energy from the food that you eat. So it's critical to life. We call this process cellular respiration. Now, during cellular respiration, oxygen breaks down the sugar that we take in, again, to sustain life. Complicated process, necessary for life. Now, as I started to look at this thing called breath, then I came across some very useful information about smell and diseases. Now we're talking about breath, disease, coronavirus, but guess what? A lot of other information preceded this. The effects that disease can have on our sense of smell has been under the spotlight as a result of COVID-19. But what else can we learn about our health from our noses? In today's world, the most common attribute of COVID-19 is about smell loss. But did you know it's also a common symptom of various other diseases? Multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease are all associated with loss of smell. Researchers found that up to 38% of those suffering from multiple sclerosis, almost half of older adults diagnosed with dementia show signs of smell loss 5 years before the diagnosis takes place. So something happens in terms of what our nose picks up. For years, smell loss is largely ignored as a marker in diseases. But we are now realizing that it could tell us that there's something happening and something to come. Now some scientists believe it as a tool of diagnosis will be very useful to our advantage. The pathology of a disease such as Parkinson presents first in the olfactory area of the brain, long before any other areas. So this is thought to be the reason why some people lose their sense of smell 18 years before you actually have the first tremors in your hands. An accurate smell test might have identified this disease almost 2 decades before the official diagnosis. So we see now coronavirus and smell and breath is now influencing our decisions, moving in something very interesting direction. Now, what do we breathe out when we exhale? Because now we're very conscious of wearing a mask so you do not infect other people. When we exhale, we breathe out mostly carbon dioxide. Exhaled air consists of 78% nitrogen, 16% oxygen, 4% carbon dioxide, potentially thousands of other compounds. The gas exhaled, as you say, is between 4 and up to 5% sometimes of by volume carbon dioxide. About 100-fold increase over that you inhale. So something happens in the body to the air, to the oxygen, and the transformation that takes place. The exhaled air isn't just carbon dioxide, it contains a mixture of other gases. Human breath contains what we call volatile organic compounds. These compounds consist of methanol, isoprene, acetone, ethanol, and other alcohols. That breath that comes out of you. The exhale mixture also contains ketones, water, and other hydrocarbons. Viruses are all around us and in us all the time. Every day we breathe in over 100 million viruses. Now we're concerned about one. But every year we breathe in approximately 100 million viruses. Most of these are harmless. Some of these can make you sick. I'm just wondering, what's going to happen to us now with all our consciousness about breathing and mask? Now we understand what else we're breathing in and out. Similarly to kicking a hornet's nest, the nose releases billions of exosomes into the mucus at the first sign of a bacteria attempting to kill the bacteria coming in, and arming the cells throughout the airways with a natural potent defense. So the body tries to defend itself immediately with the mucous membrane, with the breath you take in. A team of researchers from the Singapore Center for Environmental Life Science Engineering found that human breath takes in between 1,000 and 1 million microorganisms belonging to over 1,000 different types in a day, with at least 725 species of various microorganisms constantly. What else are we breathing in? Bacteria is dispersed into the air from the skin, the hair, and where? The nose. If you just laugh, that's probably released bacteria too. We all spread bacteria wherever we go. An infected person could force contaminants into the air by sneezing, coughing, laughing, breathing. But now we're conscious of this because of the coronavirus. But what else are we spreading? We exchange body molecules. We talk about exchanging body fluids, but we exchange body molecules by breathing. Elements of my body breathe out. Somebody else breathing in that air takes it in. What happens when you sleep with somebody? When you sleep in that same confined space with somebody for 6 to 8 hours, what are you exchanging? COVID has made us more conscious of this now. All that exhaled air and all the toxins and all the bacteria from your body with their body. Well, one thing we know, it impacts on your immune system, making you stronger. But it could also be doing other things. When you are sharing the molecules from one person's body consistently, it is now interacting with the molecules of your body and the virus of your body. What do we see? I think we should be a little more conscious and concerned about who we share breath with. Not just the coronavirus that is being exchanged and possibly infecting each other, but what else are we exchanging? What else are we impacting each other with by our breath? My final word. It's very important for us to stay active and maintain our fitness during this coronavirus pandemic. Exercise is the only way to keep your heart and your lungs fit. Because ultimately, the breath, the lungs, is the ultimate impact of the coronavirus pandemic. No drugs can do that for you. So you keep exercising, keep fit, keep the lungs healthy. Every breath you take, become more conscious of what you breathe in and what you exhale, where you breathe it in from, and who you exchange breaths with.